Welcome back. I'm Tyler, you're watching Scarfing Scarves, and welcome to the 65th installment of last week Lolita news. At the top of the segment, Rin Doll posted a new photo of her wearing the romantic perfume OP by AP. This is now the only thing that matters. And all I can do until this thing drops is pray that the JSK will have a normal waist. I won't have to hike my tits up to my chin. Seriously, AP, I'm begging you here. Zool knows you won't be getting a better chance to redeem yourself after this magic eye book disguised as a dress. Pretty sure if you stare at it long enough, you'll see a dinosaur, the only difference being that those were taken out by an asteroid and this thing unjustly remains. While we're on the subject, this test of visual patience remains nearly fully in stock, given that there is little wiggle room in the market between Marchin' Ribbon and Wrapping Mistake. I am shamefully tempted to get it in Saxon pink, not unlike adopting an ugly puppy. However, the socks and blouses released with it more than make up for this print's shortcomings. Sleeve squiggle haters be damned, I'll wear Rick Rack Fricker-Frack purely out of spite. Meanwhile, Alice and the Pirates' new print goes by the name Devil Cat in the Hourglass of Ending. I'm decently impressed that they capped the name at a single sentence. And this has to be one of the best cat prints in existence for the darkly inclined, even though they buried the best cat on the entire shebang by shoving it 2 inches from a seam. 10 out of 10 would create an Instagram dedicated to Pouncy Boy. He is my favorite by far. And kudos to Baby's emo brother for distracting me from the parade of pastels long enough to appreciate something that doesn't look like it was blasted out of a candy floss cannon. Reservations start January 24th Japan time and continue until the 27th for those interested in taking home their very own flappy cats. Moving on to a brand I'm watching like a hawk, it has come to this reporter's attention that the much anticipated release of Polish brand Lady Sloth is officially named Tea Time at Grandma's. This also officially means I have to beg the question, what kind of grandma are we talking about? Because I have 2 different kinds. One is the best in the entire world and the other would poison the tea just to watch me choke on camera. Pretty sure she tried to hide my body under the table. Don't buy the white-haired cookie baker look. This woman would stab you with a teaspoon if you gave her half a chance, and Jesus was looking the other way. Seriously though, I will continue to shove this print in your face until we get a release date. I am that obsessed, and here's wishing the Lady Sloth team all the best in production, purely for selfish reasons. Tune in next week for my umpteenth update on Dining with Grandparents Potential Murder Edition. Speaking of surprise mortality, Lady Sloth has also released the Nevermore series for reservation. You can catch it from the 17th of January to the 2nd of February. It's estimated to ship sometime in February or March, and its life and death renditions of the Raven are positively stunning, right down to the rosettes and bonnets sold separately. There is no joke here, I legitimately like this release and might have to add this to the corner of shame to hang out with classic fairy tales because I'm not about to upset the feng shui of a wardrobe that looks like Easter eggs and or the result of a serious personality disorder. Okay, so there was a joke there at the end. You'll forgive me if I'm prone to reward those who actually make it to the end of these fracking sentences. That said, turning towards our final release, Metamorphose continues to kick AP's ass up and down the block. Their latest installment is called Patissier in the Forest, and the fact that it's festooned with some kind of chipmunk squirrel hybrid can only mean that the vermin are advancing. It's only a matter of time before they move beyond the simple act of baking, and we can accept our nut-hoarding overlords sometime between now and when they evolve beyond the size where they can be conveniently punted over a fence. It's like these designers tap directly into lore's nightmares. Next time, let's all agree to have a nice ferret print instead. You can call it Klepto Noodle in the ramen shop. I'm giving you that for free, Meta. Please proceed with your numerous health code violations. Meanwhile, as that about wraps up the week, I'm decently impressed that no one in the community has committed the verbal equivalent of arson, and it so happens to be Post Your Wardrobe Month for Lolitas at large. I thought I'd cover something that should help those of you struggling to organize your stuff in ways that should suggest you have more than one brain cell to rub together. Unnecessarily aggressive at the end there, I know, but we both know half of you watch this thing while doing laundry, and I'm going to need to jolt you back into reality before you go back to whatever you were doing. Welcome to How to Organize Your Wardrobe Like a Salty Reporter. And it all begins with hanging your dresses. The first tip is really just to figure out whether you want to hang them up by importance, color, or general aesthetic. I am partial to hanging mine up so that they look like an array of Easter eggs. Others may prefer to organize them by color, and some by how much they like and or wear them. This means your wardrobe can be however you like. For instance, no one can stop you from hanging Yellow Wrapping Heart next to Milky Chan the Fawn. Only the gods of good taste can strike you down for the offense, but the real casualty will be the poor deer you decided to torture by parking it adjacent to a dress that exists in the blind spot between madness and pain. Uncalled for swipe at a print that I own in the much superior mint colorway? Probably. Will I ever stop harping on this in completely unrelated contexts? Probably not. Mint colorway, master race, represent, and transitioning towards our next tip. Tip number 2, store your blouses under those frocks. Hanging your dresses frees up space underneath. This is where your blouses can go when you run out of room on the racks. bucks. And the method I use can be found at your local Walmart, because I'll be damned if I'm spending money on anything that isn't angelic pretty. This news station runs entirely on clearance racks and malice. The one you're looking for is called Mainstay's Adjustable 2-Tier Rolling Garment Rack. I use just the bottom part, don't put on the wheels, and it's only 15 bucks to store some 30+ blouses if you don't mind smushing them together like you're trying to breed removable sleeves. Use a mallet though. Seriously, don't just like smack it in with your hand like the instructions say. It will go poorly. Hit that thing. Hit that thing like it called you Ida, all right, in public. With witnesses. Which leads us to tip number 3, file those head bows like you're doing your taxes. Head bows are easier to sort and manage if you can actually see all the things you have. I recommend using a filing method, which allows you to flip through your collection with ease. And while you can do this with baskets, boxes, and etc., I prefer this Sterilite 5-drawer system, as it fits under my dresses on the left and leads to at least 50% less mental breakdowns when I'm trying to put together a cord. I like to keep some of my favorite bows up at the front for easy grabbing. I haven't run out of room in 10 years of wearing Lolita, and I consider it a good investment for those who can't annex their partner's remaining drawers out of fear of starting World War III. I'm still eyeing his office. Tune in next week to see if I've kicked out the master bedroom suite to make Lolita's storage space 2.0. While we're on the topic of possible boots on the ground, tip number 4, those tea party shoes can fit under the blouses, in shoe bags over a closet door, and or hidden away under your bed. Socks can be stored in the same filing cabinet system as the head bows. And this $10 Sterilite 3-drawer set is what I use to do just that. It takes long enough to get into this fracking fashion without having to dig through layers of legwear. We all know you're running late for the meetup already. At least allow yourself a fighting chance to get there before people are asking for the bill. Seriously though, just roll or fold these babies up and you will have the ability to choose at a glance whatever pair will turn out to be a completely different shade of pink the moment you leave the house. Which finally leaves us at tip number 5, store your jewelry like you'd store your newborn, ideally in an elevated box with sides, because babies are stupid and will hurt themselves in novel and disturbing ways. All joking aside, I find hanging your jewelry gets a little messy past a certain amount. I prefer to use the top 2 drawers on my aforementioned Sterilite storage solution, fill them with $1 plastic separators from Daiso, and generally prevent my BB&B from mingling in ways that leads to 2 p.m. hysterics and stuck disentangling an OTT macaron from a royally pissed swan. Giving the fussier pieces their own plastic cubes keeps them from knotting up every time you open the drawer, and you can accomplish a similar result using little box lids or other improvised solutions to the inevitable electric slide that occurs when you yank the handle like you're trying to kickstart a lawnmower. It's not your necklace's fault that you only gave yourself 30 minutes before the tea party. At least give it a fighting chance of not being launched into New Jersey. Same goes for rings and bracelets. And with that, I wish you all the best as you try to catalog your collective spoils, because that's all the time we have for tonight. This has been Tyler. You've been watching Scarfing Scarves, and before you disappear into your closets to fix your mistakes, you should know that this show is sponsored in part by BB&B. They have the type of sweets jewelry worth protecting with tiny plastic cubicles. Link to their shop below. And to wrap things up with a big fracking bow, I'd like to thank my patrons for their support in this show's mission to ruin everything it touches. I wouldn't be able to wreck half as many people's day without you. And should you like to join their forces in seeing that the future is properly salted, you can head over to patreon.com/lastweeklolitanews. I suggest you consider doing anything else. Thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Speaking of surprise mortality. I thought I'd cover something that should help those of you struggling to organize your stuff in ways that should suggest you have more than one brain cell to rub together. That's not nice. Why am I so mean? Jesus, that's a question for a therapist.